Oh man. So as if we needed more words, I came up with some clever stuff. There's this evidence-based practice thing that's really hot. And what I have is more practice-based evidence. I've decided personally that evidence-based practices is guaranteed to work temporarily. But um, I try and do stuff. I try and help people with particular therapies like lifespan integration and emotionally focused therapy. It's helping somebody have scaffolding and something to hold on to while the healing is happening, like you were saying, Casey, while God is with us. And I was loving what you were saying about the cross yesterday, because that horizontal part, in my experience, it represents us. Like if I'm sitting with you, it's me and you having that human experience, the compassion of sharing and dwelling together. And that's one of my first rules in therapy is we're not fixing. Uh, I'm not fixing your feelings. I'm not fixing you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your feelings. And so, it's a faith and an experience to hold that you're good at your core. And like we were talking about yesterday, I stumbled a little on the words of the scripture today, um, because in our practice with attachment, somebody that's possessed by demons has pre-verbal trauma, and they need love and integration. And as you told the story again, it was really wonderful that this person crying out is actually getting Jesus's attention. And in therapy, that would be something that happened to a person, a trauma or a series of traumas, and we help them connect from that moment until now. And when we're sitting with a friend, we're not trying to do therapy. We're staying grounded and we're connected to our own resources. And we want to dwell with their pain. And this is my, opinion, right? Um, and then once we're dwelling with their pain and we know where they're at, we're reflecting so they know that we're hearing where they're coming from. And then we're coming back to our own groundedness. We're coming back to breath and awareness of God, and remembrance that they're in a sacred place here with us and we're safe. And so there's particular things that we can say, um, but what's funny all the time to remember is that the person sitting across from you is saying what needs to be said. So if you don't have to fix them, you don't have to come up with some fabulous thing to say. Um, but that said, there are some fabulous things to say, and I'm having my lovely assistant share that with you. And if you're my Facebook friend, I wrote it on Facebook earlier too. Um, but you're telling somebody we'll get through this together, and you don't have to know how it's going to happen. You don't have to be driving the big boat that is God, right? You just have to remember, like, God's got the biggest boat. So somebody's coming at you with this huge wave of demon possession, and it's like, that's a referral to therapy, right? And somebody with openings. Unfortunately, I don't have any, and not many people I know have them right now, because we're going through so much. And when this is happening, there's a thing that happens in our brain. I don't know if you guys found the miracle Casey performed this morning, where she got you a free gift under your seat. If you reach under there, you got a brain model. Ta-da! And when we're freaking out, it's called flipping your lid. So you got a biochemical cutoff from your prefrontal cortex and you're in your limbic system. Your body's trying to help you. It's saying, hey, I know what to do here. There was a wonderful story from Snohomish County where a young woman about 16 was helping her dad fix their truck, and the jack failed and the truck fell on her dad. That 16-year-old woman lifted the damn truck off her dad. And that's what flipping your lid is for. If you're in battle, if the truck falls on your dad, It's going to fill you with adrenaline and cortisol. So you're not going to feel the pain of when you're like rupturing discs in your spine as you're lifting the truck off of somebody, but you're going to lift the truck off somebody. And when we're overwhelmed, this whole thing fires off and we get cortisol and adrenaline. Everybody knows what this feels like. We're just calling it something today. You're biochemically cut off from your prefrontal cortex, which is where clear and creative thinking happen and where you can notice where you are right now. And then we get these black and white thinking, always and never kind of moments. You got to solve it right now. It's pressure to fix what's going on or help somebody. And then you got to blame something. You know, it's the demons in you, or it's the trauma that happened. We want to know what happened so we can fix it. But like I said, kind of pop quiz, what's rule number one? We're not fixing anything. We're connecting. And so we got to know that that fixing is above our pay grade, and we got to meet the person where they're at and make sure that they know that they're safe and we're here together and it's not all their fault, because if it was all your fault, you would be God. And so that's kind of a different type of screwing up, right? So we're just coming back to the present. We're there with their pain, and it could be really scary. It's a big wave, and we're coming back here. We're saying we're okay, and we're saying you're safe. And some people that are the most hurt will say, "No, I'm not." Every time you say you're safe, they'll say, "No, I'm not." And so you want to reflect and validate. They do not feel safe, and so maybe they don't want to talk about it right now. Maybe they just want to take a walk or make some cookies. I get really lost in all the snacks we could have personally. But you want to distract. You want to do something else. So you're meeting a person, then you're coming back. And there's some great little practices you can do. Just stretch your neck. I invite you to try it right now. Look to the left, pick an object and a color. Look straight ahead, pick an object and a color. Look to the right, pick an object and a color. You haven't fixed anything. You haven't cured anything. But that's going to start getting your prefrontal cortex back online. You can also take a really big breath in as fast as you can, and then breathe out as slow as you can. And if you do that 3 times, it activates your vagus nerve, starts to bring you back into the room. If you give yourself a little face massage around the orbital nerves or around your mouth, the ingestion nerves, your neck, that's where the vagus nerve primarily is throughout the whole body. But any of that touch, that tells you that, hey, you're feeling that right now. You're okay. You're here in the room. And that's authority too. We are right here. And so a person that you're with and your own self, right? We can go off away from here now as many times as we want. And in some ways you could call that sinning. You're missing the mark. Or if I'm a therapist, I'm screwing up, right? And I got some great clients that'll be like, Justus, you really suck at this right now. And I'll be like, all right, you're totally right. I'm talking too much, right? And bring it back, and you still got your breathing. And then at the end of the day, after I've worked with somebody for quite a while, I'll kind of razz them a little bit and say, like, hey, you know who I am. Don't get swept away by all this stuff that I'm spouting at you. It's a fire hose. I do this stuff in like 45 minutes to an hour in the first session, and people walk out like, and so I try and bring it down and give it slower. But it's exciting to me because some of these basic things can just really help you heal yourself. You'll see that you're already doing a lot of this stuff. It's natural. And the final thing I wanted to share was just knowing your own window of tolerance. Are you overwhelmed by the thing that's coming at you? Do you need to take a break? And the way in which you taking a break and having boundaries is actually going to be healing for that other person. And then it's great for us therapists too, because you start with one person that has trauma. And if you're helping or trying to fix it, and you're talking to that person for an hour about their trauma, you're going to have what we call secondary trauma. So now we got 2 people that need therapy. and I still don't have any openings, you know. So we're not trying to fix it. We're trying to say we're okay, and we want to connect to resources. So when we're possessed with demons, let's cry out and let's all show up. And you know, if you're really having a hard time, like, we're going to find help for you. You don't have to do this yourself, and you're not the first person to experience that. One of my other really bad jokes is, your problem is you think you're special. Like, it's the first time this horrible stuff has ever happened. And anybody's story, when you get your story, you make sense. You get the whole story and you go through it enough, and you got something like, oh yeah, you would be screaming at Jesus too if that stuff happened to you. And isn't it wonderful that the guy was screaming at Jesus? Because then Jesus comes over, and I could probably help you, but it'd take me like 4 or 5 years to get, you know, the demons integrated. Um, it's actually baby trauma, if you believe. Um, I told Casey I wasn't going to go there, but I did anyway. But Jesus walks up there, right? And he's got that authority. He's like, boom, here it is. And that, you know, that's Christ. That is like the whole community, the power of God. And let's not expect ourselves to do all that. Let's be doing this wonderful togetherness thing. And so, just really wonderful. I appreciate you inviting me, Casey. And I was telling I got to write a book about this. That was supposed to be 5 minutes, and I don't know how long I talked for. But that's some of what I've gotten from therapy.